Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my channel and this another rant about, the usual AAA gaming microtransaction and loot box controversy. This is going to stick around for a while, folks, and I hope it sticks around for a long while. Hopefully if enough gamers get ticked off to get these AAA publishers worried that they won't make their sales figures if no one buys their games when microtransactions that are unneeded are put in. Maybe they'll think about, actually developing games consumers want. Take-Two said something very interesting a few days ago about the same time EA did their pink Darth Vader comment that everyone poked fun of them. And I kind of want to talk about that because in a small way, they are correct. However, Take-Two is not innocent at all. In fact, Take-Two is just as guilty as EA. In fact, Take-Two started this conversation. EA just gave it a large bullhorn when they did their whole Battlefront 2, and the fact that, well, they're freaking EA. They are so arrogant that whenever they manage to have consumer problems, they always find the right things to say to magnify the problem. Anyways, I haven't played any UFC beta yet. EA did the wise thing. I'll give them some credit there. They released that beta to the general public so the general public can see what they're doing. But my thoughts on it is if they have any large modes, especially online modes, that require a pay-to-win, they're on that type of system, pay-to-win system, boycott the game. I don't care if they've done it before. I don't care if it's a sports game, and therefore sports enthusiasts will be more inclined. I don't care if it's been like this for, several years. People who buy sports games, people who are sports fans more than they are gamers, still deserve to get a solid game, and they still deserve to get everything that game offers when they spend $60. They can throw in some upgrades if they want. They can throw in extra players. They can throw in DLC like they used to back in the good old days of last gen. But they do not have the right to nickel and dime. And EA has already said a few things. I'm paraphrasing here about this, trying to come to its defense, because some of the first few articles against them I thought were a little clickbaity. Like, I don't think EA's that stupid. Wouldn't surprise me, but I don't think they're that stupid. And EA came to the defense saying it's only certain modes, and that's why I want to check it out. But one of the things they said did catch my eye, and that was basically that if you go into the mode where those card packs are, where those microtransactions, where those loot boxes are, and you purchase them and power up one of these characters, well, you're not going to be playing anymore in your class. Rather, you're going to be going up against better players, which kind of means that, the whole idea of buying a loot box thing goes out the window, because if you're looking to purchase a bunch of cards or whatever's in there to power up your fighter, but you're going to be going against more powerful players in the first place, what's the point of purchasing those loot boxes? You're still going to come out the same equally. I mean, it makes it pointless. There are RPGs with system like this that keep you from breaking the game by grinding too much. Some of these work out really, really well by allowing, even though you have to fight stronger monsters after a while, they drop more stuff. And you get to customize your characters, and you get to do a whole bunch of stuff with extra armors and weapons, so it still pays off, even though you don't get much of a bonus from the actual grind. And then there are also RPGs like this, which are complete crap and use the same system and really make it so it's impossible to get ahead. And from what EA says of their card system, it kind of reminds me of this. Still a better game than Final Fantasy 13, by the way, folks, but not by much. I think I said on the Steam sales, if you want to see what a comic failure of a JRPG is like, that's the game to pick up. But anyways, I want to get on to Take-Two because they had said something trying to defend the industry's use of the microtransactions. And I want you to understand the people who are saying and what they are saying. And keep this in mind because this will be their defense and this will be their get around. And we as gamers have got to be intuitive and make sure that when we look at these games, we look at everything. Because if this is their excuse, they might get away with it sometimes if we aren't vigilant. Anyways, basically, I think they're one of their higher ups. It wasn't their CEO. Basically said about loot boxes. He says it's about making sure you're focused on engagement, and I think that has been our strategy. That has been our focus, and as long as you keep your eye on the ball, you're going to be okay. The consumer is going to be really happy with what they get. So what does that mean exactly? Well, basically it means make a good game and then you can monetize later, which should be the proper way of doing it. However, this is Take-Two. If Take-Two was like innocent on this, like, well, we have had a few microtransactions on the side on some of our games, like, okay, yeah, good point. However, they started this whole uproar when they released NBA 2K18, a game that didn't have things like customizing your characters as unlockables, but rather as consumables, and the whole game was completely busted so they could jam microtransactions in it. You know, people who tried to go through the game without buying any microtransactions, see everything, spent 130 to 140 hours, and then they wrote Steam reviews. I understand why they did this, and I understand they were making a point. However, as I said before, when you spend 140 hours with the game, that metadata is now collected by the developer, so when you come up to confront them and you spent 140 hours on the game, expect to be grilled on why. It's why my suggestion is, if it has microtransactions, if you hear that it's broken, try to refund the game before you get it if you're buying it at the $60 day one price tag. Anyways, about that statement and why that's important. Take-Two does own a lot of IP. Some of it's really popular. Red Dead Redemption will be their next huge game, I think, coming out next year. It's a game I would be lying if I said I wasn't interested in it. I love the original Red Dead Redemption, and if they have a smaller online mode after a full first player mode, it would be really hard for me to say no to that game because I love the original so much. But if that online mode is basically there just to grab cash and not give anyone a value, I'm still going to say I'm going to boycott it and not pick it up, at least not until I see it on a Steam sale that's cheap enough for me to justify the bullcrap. That's my thoughts on it. My thoughts to the AAA developers: if you want to monetize your game and get a little more out of it, that's fine. However, you still got to give me something worth $60 worth of value, and that extra monetization needs to give me more value on top of that. This microtransaction and breaking your games like you're doing just to make me buy stuff so I can actually get through them, that doesn't sit well with me, and that's not the way it should be. So, yeah, as I said, I'm boycotting a lot of these games. Oh, and Warner Brothers, since I bring it up, you're also kind of in trouble too, because your case of bringing value and experience to the player, I think, is probably the most underhanded here, more so than Battlefront 2, and that was wait until players are invested for about 30 to 40 hours and then start charging them, needing to pay in order to actually get to the end. That is despicable. So keep your eye on these games, and if something's not smelling right, don't buy it. That's my suggestion. Anyways, thank you for listening to this rant. I'll see you guys later.